Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. My name's Steve and this is Working on the House. In last episode I finished framing out the last two walls, putting this roof and batten in ready for plasterboard, and now the next step is electrical. I'm going to place all the sockets. Got a pretty good idea now where how we're doing the kitchen layout, so I know where to put the sockets and everything else of the back boxes. So I'm going to set them all out now, fix the back boxes and also the trunking, or the conduit for the cables. Laser level is going to come in really handy for this one. Never had a laser level to do this before, so that will make life so much easier. And I've also just treated myself to a marksman pen, so I'll give that a go as well. I've seen everyone else use these. They seem to be very popular, very good, so I'm going to give that a go. So I've had a quick look at the regs. And basically there's heights that determine the height of the switches and what have you. I think from memory, I think it was 1200 maximum height. So I'm going to put a switch here. There's typically, I'll probably keep the door orientation the same, which was hung on the left, opening in. So the most natural position will be on this side for the switch. So I'll probably keep that exactly the same. I'm also going to do two-way switching. I'm going to put another switch over on the opposite side. I'll swing the camera around in a moment so you can see. So I'll do two-way switching from that position as well, because I'm going to have a doorway going into the rest of the basement for access for maintenance and storage and what have you. And you know, it's absolutely no trouble at all, is it, just to run an additional wire at this stage. There's nothing worse than thinking about something afterwards and think, oh, if only I'd done that. So I'm going to run that cable in for that. So here in the UK we typically use a ring main, so it'd be a case of looping in the wiring and carrying on to the next socket, so on and so forth. All goes back to the main consumer unit. I'll probably have a separate consumer unit for downstairs, because I think it's best just to have it completely separate from the main house if we ever do have a tenant in here. Because the plan is for my daughter to move in, so it's not quite the same. But in the future, if we do have a tenant, then really they need to have access themselves to their own circuit board and what have you. That'll be the best way of doing that. So I'm going to put a consumer unit in here as well. Won't be wiring that myself. I've got an electrician who can connect up the consumer unit for me, check all the wiring, everything else. He knows the quality of my work, so he's quite happy to connect up and test for me. I've worked with him before. So yeah, let's set up the laser level and start placing some back boxes. I don't know whether I mentioned it before, but I had these 25mm back boxes. I'm using those where the battens are pretty much against the wall, and where the batten's been packed out from the wall, I'm using these 35mm back boxes I had to buy, and yeah, they'll give me a little bit of additional space. So if I need to put any USB sockets in there, that'd be better. And it'll save messing around trying to pack them out or bring them out flush. So as for the layout, I'm leaving a 600mm gap for the fridge. The fridge is actually only 550mm, but that will allow me to have a 50mm gap down the side. It's always best just to have a little bit of room for breathing. And then if I decide to put a 600mm unit in that gap, then I'll have the space to do so. So I come out 600, so I'll put the back box bang in the middle. Then I'm going to have probably, was I doing 500mm? Yeah. So I'm going to have a 500mm base unit here with drawers, etc. So I want the socket to be bang in the middle of that, so I'll come across 250mm. Doesn't matter if they aren't exact. So then that 500mm, the end of the unit comes to about here. So this space is left free then for the small dining room table that we've got, as a little fold out one. So it's just, what's that, just under 1500. Yeah, so I don't know, about 750. So I've gone to about 750, so that'll be roughly in the centre of the table. Table height will be about down here, so then that's well above, so it's convenient then for example, I will put a USB socket there, so whoever's using the dining room table can plug their phone in to charge, etc. while they're using the dining room table. So it can't go exactly in the middle. I'll just butt it up against the edge of the batten there, that's close enough. That's pretty close. Because that's well and truly above ground level behind. What I might do is I might do back entry on this box and then, excuse me, route the cables across. So that's within zones. Horizontally, come across to each of those, I'll just come down and across to this socket here, can come up and then back into the roof. Just doing a quick bit of filming. I was sort of home quite early from work tonight, so I was able to get down here and do a bit. I just wanted to show this marksman. I've used it a couple of times now, and it's actually really neat. A lot of people rave about them. It certainly makes life a lot easier. If you can hear that. But it's really visible, especially with the green laser light. It shows up nice and clearly, which is good. It's got the centre line. Part of getting a new roll of cable is deciding whether it's actually enjoyable to unwrap it or just annoying. I'm never quite sure. Jar of coffee, a brand new jar of coffee. That's altogether different. There's something very satisfying about popping that spoon through the cellophane or the foil. Wasn't too painful. Gloves. Need gloves. I didn't film it, but what I've done is rather than trying to cut through the batten at the back and compromising on the depth of the batten, so then I have to worry about the depth of the screws, hitting the cable, etc. I decided instead of cutting out the back of the batten, I'd actually chase out the brickwork and the blockwork and what have you. And I've re-blackjacked where I've cut that out. So I don't want to compromise the waterproofing. Not that it's really going to need any waterproofing, but shall I do that one? I'll do donkey. You I think I've mentioned these before, but they're definitely worth having in your toolbox, especially if you're like a mobile or something. There's several brands do them, and they're basically wet wipes that are impregnated with a really, really strong cleaning chemical solution. And yeah, it's just really good at removing all sorts of different stuff. I mean, it's taken a bit of scrubbing, but it's even got bituminous paint off, which is good. But the best thing is like stuff like silicone. I remember back in the day I used to work on boats and forever using silicone, and that was just a pain to get rid of. The only thing we had that we used to get rid of it was acetone. And obviously acetone is not very good to be washing your hands in, really. Hence that's why my hands are a bit dry and knackered nowadays. The wrong way around, isn't it? Funny how things go around, isn't it? I remember back in the day, years and years ago, they used to use metal cable clips. A little bit reminiscent of that now. It's funny how things come full circle. So my apologies, this last video has taken a long time to produce. The truth is I've been dithering a bit because I've not really known how to proceed, but I finally made the decision of what I'm going to do. This is directly underneath the kitchen, underneath the existing fuse board. So what I've decided to do is I think I'm going to, well, that's kind of what the original plan was really. I'm going to mount the new fuse board on the other side of this wall. So it'll be quite close to the original, and that's the two tails going down there for the downstairs ring. Obviously all this needs tidying up, but that's not the finished article, but that was enough to get it all connected and get me going. So I'll take you into the other room now. So the original plan was to put the fuse board for the downstairs on this back wall in the kitchen. I thought that was going to be the easiest way of going about it, but then the existing wiring that I did for the downstairs ring main, the tails ended up where I just showed you underneath the kitchen. I didn't really want to extend them back all this way, it just seemed a little illogical. So I think what I'm going to do, instead of locating it here, I think I'm going to go back to the original plan and mounting the fuse board in the back corner of this room. So that's where the tails are for the ring main for this circuit, and then it'll be pretty straightforward for me to take the cooker circuit, which is currently running along there. That's just a straightforward run all the way through here, and I can go back to the other circuit board. It's a little bit tatty this episode, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one.